90% of clients, provided that they had a good experience with you, are actually happy to refer business to you. But only about 10 or 11% actually do refer business to you. And of course, the question that comes out of that is, well, why? Why is it that only 11% of happy people that have bought your product or service, they're happy with your product or service, why is it that only 11 people actually refer new business to you?
Welcome to the Master Dealmaker's Secrets podcast. And now, here's sales growth strategist, John Blake.
Welcome to Master Dealmaker's Secrets. I'm John Blake. This is episode 188, and today we're going to be talking about how to get referrals. But before we do that, I want you to head over to johnblakeaudio.com. Over there, what you will get is my exact strategy that I work with clients on to help them to convert more of the big list of people that they've got in their business that they've spoken to, but they haven't converted into an actual paying client yet. So what you're going to get is a 15-minute audio and a PDF guide that has all of my word-for-word templates, exactly what to write in your emails, exactly what to say when you call somebody to find out if they're ready to go ahead or not, exactly what to say if you get voicemail, and exactly when to call and when to email over a 90-day period. It's all mapped out and timelined out for you, so you know exactly when to email and exactly when to call over a 90-day period. What you will be able to do when you put this into practice is double the amount of people that you have spoken to that actually convert into paying clients. This is the lowest hanging fruit in almost every single business that I work with. It is over at johnblakeaudio.com. Grab it, put it into practice, and let me know how you go with it by all means. Okay, so episode 188. So we're going to talk about is referrals. Now, probably the most fascinating thing about referrals is that the data shows that 90% of clients, provided that they had a good experience with you, are actually happy to refer business to you. But only about 10 or 11% actually do refer business to you. And of course, the question that comes out of that is, well, why? Why is it that only 11% of happy people that have bought your product or service, they're happy with your product or service, why is it that only 11 people actually refer new business to you? And the simple answer to that is because we don't ask them. And people are busy. And I mean, if they've had a great experience, they might just be the type of person that refers business to you anyway. But people are busy and they forget. They're worried about what's going on in their own world and they don't remember. And of course, 90% of salespeople don't actually recontact their old clients and ask them for referrals. So they don't get referrals. So what I'm going to teach you is a really, really simple framework that you can use to go back to people that you've worked with that have had a great experience, and you can ask them for a referral and do it in a non-pitchy, non-sort of conceited type way. So there's a couple of other things to consider about referrals. So there are, in your buyer's journey, there are a couple of what we call euphoric moments, right? So an example of a euphoric moment would be if you were a real estate agent. At the moment that you do the final inspection is probably when you've actually signed the paperwork. That would be one euphoric moment because they're excited about the fact that they're going to be buying a new house. And then the other one would be like handover, or if it was a new build, when they get the keys. That would be a euphoric moment. So you are better to ask for referrals at what would be the logical euphoric moment in the buyer's journey of whatever it is that you actually do. So in my world, it would be when someone's had a fantastic result, right? So if someone's doubled or tripled their sales, which happens, that would be a good time for me to ask them for a referral. Or perhaps at the front end of their process with me, sometimes we'll do like a re-engagement strategy with their database, and we can create like a big surge of business and sales, and that would be a good time. So pick your moment, right? Pick your moment. And then the conversation doesn't really have to be like particularly involved, but there's a couple of key things that we want to do. So we want to first ask as I've pointed out, in a euphoric moment. The second thing that we want to do is, rather than saying, oh, do you know anyone else that might be interested in such and such? What you want to do is, because if you say, oh, do you know anyone who else would be interested? That's kind of one level, but the best level to ask at is where you actually describe the ideal buyer for you, right? So a conversation might sound something like this, right? So you would call someone and you would say, hi, how you going? Thought I'd check in and see how everything was going. Yep, everything's going well. Great, awesome. How have you enjoyed the process so far? How have you found the process so far? And that's where the person's going to say, oh, look, it's been great. You guys are fantastic. You've just done such a great job. We're really happy. And you can say, look, I would imagine that you'd be aware that quite a big chunk of our business comes from people who we've worked with, they've got a good result, and they've shared the result that they've got with some people in their network. A lot of people who listen to the podcast want to know what we do over at Master Dealmaker Secrets. And effectively what we do is we work with sales professionals and business owners all over the world who are seeing massive increases in their top line sales revenue. So we help business owners and sales professionals to effectively focus on the three key drivers to growing sales revenue in your business. The first one is controlling the message that you send out into the marketplace so that potential clients see and hear and read what you do as an opportunity as opposed to your competitors. The second thing that we do is we help you to create a direct path to the 20% of your ideal clients that will deliver 80% of the revenue. So everyone knows the 80-20 rule. We help you to develop a direct path to the 20% of the people that are going to give you 80% of your sales revenue in your business. And the third thing that we allow you to do, that we create a process for, is for you to be able to double the amount of leads that you get that convert into paying clients. So if this is of interest, we do have an application-only process to become involved in this particular program. And to get to there, all you need to do is to go to www.johnblakescall.com. So it's JOHNBLAKESCALL.com, and there's a couple of questions to answer there. And then what you'll do is get on a quick conversation with me, and I can find out a little bit more about what you've got going on in your business and see potentially whether what you are doing would be a fit for what we could help you with. And at that point, I can extend an invitation if it's a fit, and you can make the choice to come on board or not. So that's the opportunity. That would be the next step if you're looking at how you can take things to the next level. If you're enjoying what you're hearing on the podcast, if you're getting value from it, I invite you to do that, and I will look forward to talking to you. The website is www.johnblakescall.com. Talk to you soon. So a big, pretty big percentage of our business comes from repeat business and referrals, and a great referral for us, and then describe the person, right? So you could describe the person, say, look, somebody who's in their, 40s, let's say it was somebody who was looking, let's just use a real estate example. And you could say, look, somebody who's about to have another child, because often that's a trigger event. They need a bigger house. So somebody who's about to have another child, perhaps they're planning to have another child, or the wife is already pregnant, and they want a bigger place, and they want to sell their place and get a great price for it, right? So that's one way. The other way that you could say is, if we had a magic wand and we could duplicate any of our clients, we talk about our ideal client. If we had a magic wand and we could duplicate a client, it would be you. So what we know is that birds of a feather flock together, and there are probably some people that that might be people that we could potentially talk to, that we could help in the same way that we've helped you. So that would be an actual script that you could use. You could say, look, effectively, when we think about our ideal client, you would be the textbook example of our ideal client. So if we had a magic wand and we could duplicate you as our ideal buyer, that's what we would do. So what we know is that birds of a feather flock together. And I was curious as to whether there's anybody in your network that you think that we might be able to help in the same way that we've helped you. And then, so as you think about a great referral for us, it would be somebody who's similar age to you and is going through a similar thing. The kids have gotten bigger, they need a bigger house, or the wife is pregnant. And so the difference between that and do you know anybody that we, do you know anyone else that we could work with, is that you've described that particular person. You've actually described the person in detail that you want. And so what happens in the person's mind is that they will start to flag people that fit that particular profile, which is a lot different to do you know anyone? Because if you say, do you know anyone? They'd probably go, no. But if you describe the person, well, actually, you know what? I think, Keith and Jane are looking at having more kids, or, I think they were talking about wanting to move. Yeah, they could be good people you could talk. And so then you say, so out of all the people that who is it that comes to mind? And they'll say, oh yeah, probably Keith and Jane. And you can say, oh, okay. So, why is it that what is it that makes you think of them? And then they'll describe, oh, we had a conversation with them the other day. And then you can say, okay, great. So anyone else come to mind? And, oh yeah. And in fact, now that I think about it, David and Julie, people, and you can just write them down. You can say, look, and there's a couple of different ways you can do it. You could say, look, if I could grab their telephone number, that would be great. Or and I can just give them a call. Or if you feel more comfortable doing it this way, I could give you my email address and you could just introduce us. And then that way, if they're interested, we can connect that way. And you can make it even easier for them, and you could give them an actual template, an email template that they could send on your behalf to that particular person introducing you, that explains more succinctly what it is that you do and the way that you help your clients. So that's a really simple formula. And if you go back to your database and you call people and you use that script that I've just mapped out for you, you will get referrals. Like I am telling you, you will get referrals. It's simply the act of doing it that will create the result. I'd be really curious to see how you go with it. As usual, thank you very much for listening, and I hope you got some value out of today, and I will talk to you on the next podcast. Cheers.
You've been listening to Master Dealmaker Secrets with John Blake. Subscribe to get more in-depth strategies and maximize your sales process with new episodes every other week. And double your inquiry to sale conversion with the lead flow you already have. Go to johnblakeaudio.com for his exclusive, free, no-fluff audio training and companion PDF guide.